Definitely. As somebody who grew up in the 90s, weight was a really big issue that people talked about a lot. We were definitely made to feel that our value was linked very much to our physical appearance. And so a lot of time we would get a lot of comments by men or strangers or people we knew.
Yes, I have experienced some comments from men. It was actually during college time, it was last year in 2024. We were filming a music video and I was wearing a very long white dress, and this guy who was at the place we were filming, he saw me and he said that I looked like a princess, and he said some other comments about that, but that made me feel very uncomfortable.
I think it was about last year. I was on a train and this man who was clearly drunk commented on me and I walked past him. I literally had a pair of baggy grey jeans and my coat, and he still proceeded to make a comment about my body. His demeanour and the way he said, "Hello, princess," made me feel quite disgusted, and I was just really uncomfortable.
I think it started as a joke between two people during COVID, when we were in our little bubble situation, but then it kind of grew and it was became harassment, and they had multiple times got told to stop. I was frustrated because no matter how many times I told them to stop or moved away, it carried on.
Yes, I have experienced a man comment on what I've been wearing before. So when I was a police officer, I had quite a few men who would comment on my appearance whilst I was on a shift wearing my police uniform. They were being very derogatory. I think it's a big thing at the moment with the police. Men tend to think that if there's a female officer wearing a uniform, they can sexualise it. But equally, when I was just out with my friends in a nightclub, if I was wearing a short skirt or if I had a low-cut top on, then men would think that it's okay to just come up and either touch me or to comment on how short my skirt was or how low-cut my top was. I'd feel quite like I was being made to be an object rather than a human.
I think the youngest I have had at least comments made about me, I think I must have been about 12, quite young. It really upset me. I didn't really know what it meant at the time, but I knew it wasn't nice.
I was 17 when I got approached. So I was at work and I was in my work clothes, and this man came up to me and he decided to grab my bum, which wasn't nice.
So the youngest that I can remember being approached, I was about 16, but I used to wear cami tops that were quite low. So just walking around town with my friends, we'd have strangers just walking past and either wolf whistling or, making comments. But at 16, that can be quite daunting. In that situation at 16, as much as it wasn't wanted or asked for attention, I was 16 and it was the first time that I was really experiencing it. So sometimes I'd feel excited that I'd grabbed that attention, and other times I'd be like, actually, I don't want that attention.
A few years ago in year 7 or year 8 or something, I was with one of my friends who was female and one of my friends who was a male, and we were down at the river, and my male friend, we were splashing in the river and I was wearing a white top, and he got my top wet and then it became very see-through, and I said, why'd you do that? My top's now see-through, and he said, well, I don't mind, it's what it is. And that made me feel very uncomfortable because he was a male and I was 12 at the time, so.
I think probably really young. I think probably 9 or 10 was when I started getting comments, from family members and then also from people publicly as well. I remember people shouting out of windows of their cars as they were driving past, making comments, whistling, things like that. It's frightening, particularly when you're really young. Are you safe? What are they going to stop and talk to you? Are you going to be at risk from them?
Yes, I have experienced more than just comments. I've experienced physical touch before, with either men walking past and touching my top of my leg or touching my bum as they're walking past. I've had people, when I've been on a police shift and trying to deal with an incident in a pub, that would try and grab my arm and slide their hand in my stab vest, and that can be quite scary. Even though I'm in a role as a police officer, it can be quite scary if that happens to you.
Yeah, definitely. Back in the days when I used to go out and go clubbing and things like that, it was not uncommon for people to grope you in, you know, trying to put their hands up your skirt, touching you through your clothes and stuff like that, particularly in crowds, in nightclubs. It happened all the time. It was just kind of accepted as normal.
I was at a festival and I think it was an accident, but it did also make me feel very uncomfortable because I was around a lot of people who I didn't know, and I was already stressed because I was at a big festival. But I was in the queue getting drinks with my mum, and there was a guy behind me. He was very tall and a lot older than me, and he sort of like bumped into me and like rubbed his hand like against my arse, and I think it was an accident, but you know, I don't know for sure. So that also made me very like stressed in that situation.
No, I don't think the way that I was dressed played a part, because I never really been interested in makeup, so that wasn't any sort of factor. And I was just wearing my school clothes, and I was wearing jeans and a shirt and a cardigan, I think. And the same thing at work when it happens. I'm just wearing jeans and a t-shirt with like Thatcher's or Guinness written on it.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you were wearing a short skirt or something like that, you feel more like you had asked or invited it. Particularly because that was socially at the time, I think that people did say, if people were assaulted or something like that, it was like, well, what were they wearing? You know, did they bring it on themselves? Did they leave themselves vulnerable, rather than focusing on the person actually doing the groping or the touching, but actually like shifting that blame onto the person who'd been the victim of it?
No, to be honest. As I mentioned before, with my experience on the train, I was literally wearing normal clothes, just normal trousers and a coat. So absolutely nothing that people would say, oh, she was asking for it.
I don't really think that the way I was dressed like influenced anything that happened, except for maybe the white dress one, where I got the comments, because I was in a white dress. That did influence it a lot.
I think the way I dressed had a big part in how I was feeling. I think because I was wearing low-cut tops, it would grab the attention, or I'd wear short dresses, it would grab the attention. And I think that did play a big part, because men would see it that you are offering skin, therefore some men might think that if you're offering a bit of skin, then you're up for any kind of advances. So it definitely made me reevaluate what I was wearing.
Definitely not. 100% not. Like, I was in my work clothes, like everybody was wearing similar outfits. So I definitely know that that wasn't the case.
I don't necessarily think in any way it was. Like now, looking back, I know that it definitely wasn't my fault, but I don't even feel like at the time I thought it was, because I knew that I wasn't doing anything wrong, because I was telling them to stop and they weren't. So I knew that it wasn't any, like I was encouraging it or anything.
Sometimes I do feel like it was my fault, because obviously I spoke to him and I was serving him drinks and stuff, because obviously that's my job. But no, I don't think it was my fault. I think it was just a man who is insanely inappropriate with younger women.
Yes and no. I knew it wasn't my own fault because I'd done nothing wrong, but it still made me feel sort of uncomfortable in myself.
I didn't feel guilty or that it was my fault, no. I've been brought up to be really kind of confident in what I'm wearing, and that men will always make advances if they want to. Not all men are the same, and if they are making advances, then that's on them, not on me.
I think the incident down by the river, I felt a little bit guilty, because like I hadn't really thought about the top I was wearing and how it could become see-through, but also like I didn't feel guilty, but there was a slight bit of guilt there.
No, I usually felt angry, and I'm pretty good at standing up for myself, so I usually could handle stuff like that reasonably well. Particularly as I got older, I would know like to give people a hard time, and that generally bystanders weren't that tolerant of it, and you could rely on people around you quite often to step in or to support you if you did want to make a fuss about it.
Not paying attention to internet and how other people perceive themselves online is a good way to go, and not to take, you know, everything you see online to heart and just do your own thing. Nobody cares at the end of the day. They're going to forget. If you wear something slightly silly in someone else's opinion, they're going to forget, you know. And you'll grow older and you'll realise that there was no need to worry about it, so just do your own thing.
Just be who you are and like not be scared to be who you are, because like there's nothing against being who you are. You can be who you want to be, what you want to be, and like you shouldn't be judged for who you are, and you don't need to be scared. The world is scary, but you don't need to be scared. You just need to have lots of confidence.
One thing I would tell my younger self is not to accept any form of attention. No attention is good attention if you've got short skirts and low cut tops on, so just be you and don't accept any of the bad attention that you get.
You have to stand up for yourself. You can't take it, which I know is easier said than done, but that is the only way that, unfortunately, that you can try. But it's not always going to work, and you kind of just have to learn to grow a thick skin.
Definitely just to be confident in yourself, because when I was a little bit younger I definitely felt like I wasn't as confident as I would be now. And also to younger women, I think everybody should just be as confident and be who they want to be, and no one should say any different.
Just be happy with the skin that you're in. Like, it doesn't matter what size you are or how you think that other people perceive you. All that really matters is how you perceive yourself, and no one will criticise you more than yourself. Just try to be kind to yourself, and I think I wish I knew that more when I was younger.